Man, after God knows how many years, Harada has finally officially stepped down from his positions as um, I might not be 100% sure on this, but I think as a developer and producer for the Tekken series, and well, let's just say that he had a lot of responsibilities around the last few years in his career with Bandai Namco, and after this many years of giving us this many Tekken games, a long time has passed. As you can see, I'm playing a really old game right now on the screen, or I am going to, but I'll also be playing some even older games than this. Because right now the idea of these playthroughs for certain characters' story modes are basically going to be to celebrate all of the games that he has made in which he had a lot of responsibilities in, or he was very much directly involved with. And I might as well, and this is going to be strange because I was thinking about starting with Tekken 1, the very first game, but ultimately I have decided to go with the game that I tried. This is probably the very first game that... Okay, so a little bit of background information, a little bit of story about myself. I wasn't really a gamer back in those days when I was a teenager, when I was a little kid. I more so became a gamer, quote-unquote gamer, when I was a teenager, but for the most part in my childhood, whenever I played on a game console, I played on, I think it was an NES or either an SNES, one of the two, can't 100% remember which one of those was. I think it was an SNES. Anyhow, the very first game that I tried out on the PlayStation 2, because it originally... it wasn't even my PlayStation 2 that I tried the game out on, but it was this game. The very first PlayStation 2 game that I tried out was Tekken 4, and man, I really got Can anyone? I guess you can get hooked on a game that you don't even really own, or on music, or on any type of media, but the main thing is that I kind of wanted to start things off with the game that, for the most part, it wasn't the main reason why I became a quote-unquote gamer, but it was a pretty huge part of it, or this was the game that made me fall in love, quote-unquote, more with video games. And I was like, I should just rather start it with this one, because this game means a lot to me, even though it has a lot of faults. Because, well, if some of you might be familiar with how the fighting game community, or how these old fighting games were back in the day, these games didn't really have patches. If they wanted to quote-unquote patch a game, then they just basically released a brand new version of the game. Think about it, and you can search up for it. You can look it up on the internet if you don't know, but Tekken 5 basically had two versions. One of them was released on the PlayStation 2, at least for the home consoles. One of them was released for the PlayStation 2, and the other one was released for the PlayStation Portable and the PlayStation 3. Which I think was the arcade version, or it was more so the arcade version with extra content. But the way they patched the games were to basically re-release the games, and I think most of them were re-released at full price, so in a way, patches aren't that bad, guys. Anyhow, the main point of me talking about this is that this game, at the time when it was released and was played very much competitively, was pretty broken. And from what I've heard and remembered, most of the good amount of people, instead of keeping up with this game, pretty much went back to Tag 1. another game that we will be playing, or I'll be playing on the channel relatively soon. So this game wasn't really loved that much around the time it was released. And on the time it came out, both I think for the arcade and both for the home consoles, but later on, this game was seen for its good parts, and it has a lot of good parts, especially for the story part, because the story for the Tekken games was actually decently good for a fighting game around this time frame. Which unfortunately started getting worse and worse with the newer games, but we'll also be getting to that because the main idea right now, in order to celebrate Harada's work and to celebrate mostly the Tekken series, is for me to do 2 playthroughs of 2 characters. For tag 1 is going to be just 1 team probably, but we'll see. But the main idea is going to be, in order to do the story mode of my favorite character in the specific game, or in this case Hwoarang or Arang, I'm sorry that I'm butchering, although probably a lot of other people do as well. So to play through the story mode, or in the older games through the arcade mode, which is the game's specific story mode, once, and then to do the canonical ending for the specific fighter. So in the case of Tekken 4, the canonical ending is, I actually might do it in a way where I'm going to be doing Kazuya's story mode and Jin's playthrough, Jin's story mode as well, because Kazuya's has some parts that are canon to the story, but at the same time Jin doesn't go through them, which, you'll be seeing immediately. Not exactly immediately, but you'll be seeing it relatively soon. Why? Because these are probably going to be the first story mode throughs that are going to be uploaded on YouTube. These are going to be done on the hardest difficulty available, which is ultra hard for this game. The settings are going to be on default because these settings don't affect story mode. They affect arcade and time attack, and I think survival as well. Team battle, I'm not really sure about. So yeah, without further ado, this is going to be Arang story mode. And now I just remembered the amount of Tekken games that are mispronouncing his name. Is almost every single Tekken game, when the announcer says his name out, they're mispronouncing it almost every single time. So we'll basically be going from Tekken 1 up until probably Tekken 6, and in that game I'm also going to be doing scenario campaign most likely. Tag 2 isn't really canon to the story, and I don't really want to do it because I'd be bummed yet again that I cannot really play online against people anymore. And Tekken 7 I'm not going to be doing because I really don't want to reinstall 60 or 70 gigs on the PC that I'm playing these games. Most on the PC that I'm playing some of these games on, so those 2 games are likely off the table. Maybe I'll be doing Tekken 8. I am most likely going to be doing Tekken 8 actually. Going to likely be skipping Tag 2 and 7, but I probably will be doing Tekken 8, and probably also be going to be doing my story reaction to the game because I haven't played through story mode yet. So you can also look forward to that. And I had no idea that I was going to be doing those as well, but well, here we go. Anyhow, before we are kicking things off, this game is a little bit funny because this was before, wait, let me go into options. This was before every single character, and I think that started almost completely with Tekken 5, but every single character spoke their own mother tongue. Prior to that, in the instance, or in this game's case, There are situations where certain characters are speaking their own mother tongue, but at the same time, they'll be whipping out the English for no absolute reason. And in Hwoarang story mode, there is going to be a situation like that, which is pretty infamous, and you have probably already seen it on social medias or at least on some playthroughs. But for some of the wait, English sometimes is hard. Uninitiated, it is a very memey cutscene from start to finish, or rather pair of cutscenes, because there are going to be two. Anyhow, let's get to it.
Welcome to the King of Iron Fist, Hwoarang. Back in his homeland of Korea, Hwoarang was drafted into the military and assigned to a Spec Ops unit. Although his success in various missions was highly regarded, his penchant for disobeying rules and orders gave his senior officers more than a few headaches. Hwoarang felt a strange emptiness within him. He recalled longingly of the days hustling money in street fights, the rush of hand-to-hand combat, and his fight against Jin Kazama. The military could not quell these yearnings. One day, the announcement of the next tournament reached Hwoarang's ears. For the first time in years, his blood began to stir. He would defeat Jin, Heihachi Mishima, and anyone else who dared to stand in his way, claiming Mishima's Zaibatsu as his own. Bursting with anticipation, Hwoarang slipped out from the military base and headed for the tournament.
Bro actually abandoned his military duties in order to fight with his rival and his lover. That's crazy. Also, yeah, webs are immaculate in this game. Jesus. Okay. We are already crushing highs. Good. Oh god. Almost got hit with that. No counter hit on that, unfortunately.
Round 2. Fight.
Okay, I wanted while standing 4-4 game.
You lose.
The differences between very hard and ultra hard are that the CPUs are going to counter hit your ass on this difficulty.
Round 2. Fight.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that to hit. Aw, man. Would have been a sweet counter hit. What do you mean that whiffed in front of him? Okay. Thank you for the free damage. Okay, that was funny.
Final round. Fight.
Thanks, Backlash. That's one down.
You win.
Let's go.
Round 1. Fight.